Okay, let me see. Did it? We out? Yeah, we're live. All right, we're live.
All right,
Uh,
awesome.
okay. All right. Hello, everyone that's tuned in. Welcome to. I kind of want to say our first ever podcast, but it's not really that. It feels like it is because we finally found a name for it. But welcome to
That's a
a
good name.
to the first ever Club America podcast in English that has finally found a name for itself. My name is Ivan, and co-hosting today with me, of course, is the man himself, Dylan. Want to say hi to everyone?
Hey guys, how's it going?
So, it's gonna be an episode. I'm not really gonna be talking much about soccer because we haven't seen America play, but it is an end of the year review somewhat. We're going to talk about our plans coming into 2018, and we're also going to talk about transfer rumors, all that stuff. We'll give a sum up of everything, but beforehand, just anything you want to start us off with?
It's just great to have started this. We can both bring a lot to Americanistas out there and stuff like that. And it was kind of a late start because we didn't really start until like the Ligia and stuff like that. But now we'll have we can finally talk this podcast like that, and it's been kind of been going for me this semester and everything, and me juggling school and work and this and everything like that. So yeah, expect more guys. We'll finally get like a set time, more planned out than this was because it's kind of just like
Yeah, we kind of just we just kind of chuck it out there, but
yeah.
I think I can agree with you. It's been great. These couple episodes we've made. Of course, our main focus is America, but of course we will be covering the Mexican national team come the 2018 World Cup. So I wrote my notes down here just so we don't get lost. First, beforehand, before we go dive any further in this whole Club America podcast, I think some congratulations are in due to Tigres and their supporters for winning the Apertura.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to watch the first leg personally because I was just juggling school and work and everything. Because last week we call it kind of like a dead week here.
Yeah,
It was just like not it was just nonstop, work and everything. So I didn't really get to catch that. But Sunday, I did get to catch the second leg, and just seeing Monterrey scored within like 2 minutes. So I was like, oh man, like it just seemed to me like Monterrey was gonna run with it, but then Tigres obviously came back and won. So big props to them.
yeah, no,
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
So does it take the blow away to know that you lost to the champions?
Like man, like I don't know. It seemed like the first, like, even though I didn't get to watch it, just keeping up with all, like, like Sis and Tom, stuff like that. It seemed like a pretty even match.
Yeah.
And then in the second lane, it just seemed like Monterrey just came like firing out all of a sudden, scoring in the first 2 minutes, and then Tigres obviously getting that 2-1 lead in the second leg. Just in that leg, I know overall it was 3-2, but and just in that game, it showed a lot. It showed that I think this can actually battle and stuff like that, and it just sucks for Monterrey fans because it just seemed like Monterrey were obviously the heavy favorites to win it all.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just to show that it doesn't matter like he's finishing first, having one of the best goal scorers too. That was surprising. Alves Iturbe was
Yeah,
it would seem like invisible on the pitch. It just seemed like he wasn't there.
yeah. It didn't look like the same Hurtado that we were used to. Um, but yeah, I think obviously America lost to Tigres, and both sides showed that they were capable of scoring goals. And I think it just goes to show that America finishes third. First place and second place get to finish off in a final, and America finishes third. So, I mean, we'll round up the year, but you kind of feel, well, I mean, we lost to the champions at least. It's at least something to take home.
Hmm. It's just it's not. I mean, it's kind of like expected, but we've seen that America struggle. You know, we obviously didn't score a goal. You kind of seem like who's to blame? Is it really just like Miguel Herrera's side, or is it where Tigres actually
that good? Yeah.
team? Yeah.
Yeah, no. I agree with you. I agree with you. There's a lot that we can go into, but as I said, this will be our last podcast of the year. So we're closing the year a little bit earlier than most people will do, but just because I know finals is coming up for everything that's also going to happen with all the holiday season and all that stuff. So it's going to get hectic. It always usually does anywhere around the world around these times. So we are going to call it end of the year for us, a very short year. But ultimately, like I talked to you off air that we have plans for the future. We're going to share with the public in a little bit. But I guess let's just kind of sum up 2017 for Copa America. Let's see, was it a good year? Was it a bad year? Or did it fall in between? So I kind of I want to start off and what would you say the year was for America, all of 2017?
I'd say kind of fall in between, because you see at the beginning of the season, especially in the preseason, they were doing actually pretty good. Lost to Querétaro and well, which cup was it? I forget.
The Supercopa?
Yeah, the Supercopa. Yeah, we lost to them, and so to me, like losing to them like what, twice in a row, because we played against them in the opening game in the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we lost to them twice in a row, so like I was thinking like, oh man, like already off to a bad start in my opinion. Just kind of see them progress in the season. They find that mid-season form, and we're just like, oh, okay, like we're gonna actually. I was thinking to myself, we're gonna actually make a push for the final. Everything just starts going like roller coaster happens in the season, and so then we progressed in the Liga. Even though people can say like, oh, America only advanced because against Cruz Azul, they didn't score a goal, and then we just. It's a Tigres too as well, and there's always room for improvement, and there's a lot of improvement to do between whenever the second leg of the Liga until the new tournament. And it's just interesting going to see who America brings into the squad now come for the upcoming tournament.
Yeah. I think that will be the most interesting part. I think that's the part everyone's waiting for. And before, I totally forgot about this before when I was doing the intro, but this is the episode before Doom's Judgment Day, which is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow is the start of the so-called famous draft of the Liga MX. So by tomorrow, we will know at least a couple of players that will be leaving and hopefully joining America. So it's going to be interesting, because tomorrow we will get news regardless of everything, because of course the famous draft is going to happen.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting, because like we already talked about players like, especially Chino Romero leaving and stuff like that. It's just going to be interesting to see what Brian, because obviously last year we got Guido from it too as well, and Guido obviously just was a good asset to the team as well. Mateus Uribe, those two be good assets to the team. It's just now bringing it all together, maybe bringing in that extra player or two, and to pulling all the strengths together for us pushing for a title next tournament.
Yeah. Well, before we talk any further about transfers, let's just kind of sum up everything that was 2017, and let's kick things off right in the beginning of the year. It's Ricardo Lavolpe's America that, let's face it, did really bad that clausura, did not make the playoffs, and that's how you started off 2017 with that tournament. And it was Diego Lainez's tournament, of course, the youngster who came from the ranks and got some minutes under La Volpe. But really, from that, there wasn't really anything that you could rescue from that beginning half of the year. Then later on, of course, comes the fact that Piojo comes in and America gets a whole different boardroom as well, new president. knew everything. So it looks like the infrastructure was changing, the manager was changing. It looks like things were going on the up and up. You know, Miguel Herrera comes in. Maybe it seemed like maybe he was like the chosen one to come back, and you know, like the prodigal son to just come and be the savior for America. Do you think when he coming in, do you think Miguel Herrera's kind of ego took over and said, "Okay, yeah, I'm coming back, and that's all I got to do. I don't really got to do much to change things around." And he just thought with my presence that was going to be more than enough.
Yeah, I think so, because it was a big surprise to me when I seen that Miguel Herrera wasn't going to be with Cholos after the last tournament. And whenever I read the quote that he had said that he's waiting for America to call him again, you know, to come back and coach, you know, I was waiting for the moment too. I might have got ahead of myself a little bit too. I thought, oh yeah, like we've all seen what Miguel Herrera has done with past too. You know, he's two in previous episodes. He just like pulls magic out of his bags. You know, he knows what he's gonna do. You know, he's gonna stick to what he knows. And I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. And you know, after seeing like dropping 2 games to Querétaro, finding a good mid-season form, and all of a sudden just losing it. You know, we would draw a game, lose the game, another one. Finally, we would actually win one, and then just seeing not to be able to score EA games, you know, just it shows that improvements need to be made, and it not just from possibly too from Miguel Herrera, but you know, maybe he needs to revamp his tactics a little bit too as well.
Oh yeah. Go any further, I just want to give a quick shout out to Angel Gutierrez, who is watching us right now, and ask for a little shout out. There you go, Angel. Your name is now on the video. But back to what you were saying, yeah. You know, there was a bit of maybe an ego from the whole fan base, really, that you know, Miguel Herrera is coming back, and you know, we're gonna be the America that we were 4 years ago, and this and that, and you know, to you know, be candid, I went along with the hype and everything, but I mean, look where it got us. I mean, you know, so there was a lot of inconsistency, and there was a lot of questions to be asked as well. Maybe we were a little bit too lenient on Miguel Herrera because he was that last coach who really bonded with the Americanismo, and maybe that's why you know, we're a little bit too like, yeah, but you know, he's Piojo, and like you said, we've seen what he did with the Mexican national team, and we saw what he did with Cholos and how well he did. But if it's one thing that we have to know, how far did he get in the Liguilla with Cholos? He didn't go very far at all in his time over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I do remember right, Cholos finished first in the last tournament, correct?
Yeah. They finished first.
Yeah, and so you think too to yourself, you know, oh, you know, we're gonna be able to finish, you know, just as good as Cholos did, and you know, maybe we might could have finished second, possibly first too. You know, we were kind of up there, you know, trying to fight for one of those spots, you know, but we ended up finishing third. He took us about just as far as I think he could. It's just that, you know, that lack of consistency. You know, what were the goals in those four Liguilla games?
Yeah,
it's just what was he not doing right? What were the players not doing right that we couldn't see those goals scored?
I think ultimately, you need to ask questions of like we said, Miguel Herrera's coaching and the players themselves who are out there who have the responsibility to score these goals, and hopefully things are going to change better for the upcoming year.
Yeah, and I think we can also say too his substitutions too. I mean, you know, there might have been I wouldn't say might have been, but there was a couple of questionable substitutions that I think that he made too, and you know, just also too about when to bring them on and when not to bring them on. You know, I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, would you say that is because of his own fault or because of his lack of squad depth? What would you mostly put that blame on?
I can kind of see it a mix of both. We really didn't have that much of a depth, you know. Possibly, you know, one of the best players you can say that could come off the bench. Diego Lainez or possibly whoever he started, whether it be Renato or possibly Darwin Quintero too. But it's just depending on as well, in my opinion. But also because, you know, like we said, we can go back to the ego factor, you know, Hussein. But like he obviously tries to field the best 11 that he thinks he could possibly field every week in and week out. It just comes to show, like, if he's gonna trust these 11, you got to be able to trust the bench too as well.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of questions when it came to that, and I think some of those. Look, the perfect example is last week's game against Tigres in the Volcan. When you saw that Darwin Quintero should have been off after first half, after halftime.
Mm-hmm.
He missed a clear opportunity at goal, and you know he's just prancing around, walking. He's you know at one point any manager at that point that says, look, you know, I need to win this game because it was a must-win game. It was a must-score 2 goals win game, and you keep him on. And the first person you take out, granted, I mean, I'm not trying to say he was having a better game, but Silvio Romero, and then you bring in Güero Diaz. Like, I would have understood if he took out Silvio Romero and he brought in Diego Lainez. That'd be a whole different story, of course. But he brings in Güero Diaz, who, you know, granted, a lot of people were saying, oh, he's going to be the next Raul Jimenez, you know, just like Miguel Herrera did for Jimenez, he's going to do for Güero Diaz. I haven't seen it. And they're 2 distinct players in my eyes. I think he has the capacity to be a good player. It's just the guy's not showing it. He's running around, but that's pretty much all he does. I wanted to ask you, what do you think? How do you think America's handling Diego Lainez? Because there's a lot of people when they talk about Lainez, they kind of split into two people. Either you're for Diego Lainez just getting as much game time as possible, like just chuck him in there, just let him get the ball and all that stuff, or do you favor on the side of the people that say, no, let's take it easy, let's give him not game by game, but you know, minutes here, minutes there. Let's take his process slowly and correctly. Let's not try to rush him. What do you think? How do you think? Because it looks like America, like at least Miguel Herrera is giving the kid the slower option. You know, like he's not really pushing him out there. He's barely giving him game time. Like, what do you think? How do you think America is handling Diego Lainez?
I think it's going okay. You know, we kind of seen him stand out, obviously, in the U17 World Cup. You know, it just seemed like everything I read, you know, it was Diego Lainez. You know.
Yeah.
You don't want this kid to get big headed. You don't want him to think that he needs to start every game, and just get ahead of himself, because obviously, you know, he's such a young player too, 17, 18. You know, that's like 2 years older than me, and so yeah, and so like Miguel Herrera needs to show him that he trusts him.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily throw him on the fire. Say, okay, you need to go and score a hat trick today against Tigres in El Volcan.
Yeah,
you know, yeah, but like, yes, we've seen the potential. We've seen what he can do, and it comes to show that we've got a young star in the mix of the America lineup. You know, whether he be in the starting 11 or be on the bench, you know, we see that he's an option. He needs to also get decent amount of minutes if he's coming off the bench. You know, we don't need him coming in. With like, or need him coming in whenever it's just a substitution to waste time. I want to see Diego Lainez get like if he's coming off the bench, 20 to 30 minutes. You know, something to show us that he can still make an impact on the game, whether we're up 2-0 or we're down or something. You know, I just want to see him, and he can hang, and he has shown it so far. And I don't see why he won't be able to do it in the future too as well.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you a lot. Here's 2 questions for you. Well, more like one and then a statement. So, one, what do you think? Would you like to see Diego Lainez have a bigger role in this upcoming season? And two, why don't we give him, just chuck him out there, just be like, oh, give him more game time, just let him play? Because I'll give you a perfect example of someone maybe not close to home like the Liga MX, but granted, let me give you an example. Marcus Rashford, what he did coming out, he technically he was like the Diego Lainez of Manchester United at the time. He comes in straight from the ranks because of all these injuries, because there's no one else to fill in those gaps. He comes in, he showcases that he has the talent, and they just chuck him out there and they give him game after game after game after game, and the kid's grown to be a responsible player. I think at this point in time, a lot of people, their argument is you can't let the kid have so much power. Like, you can't emphasize him. You got to take him slowly. You got to kind of have to keep him under the record. Like, you can't. I feel like at this point, he knows he's a professional. He knows that he's playing not only for minutes but for his career, because at some point he knows that he needs to continue to play in order for him to be successful and in order for him to keep a job. And I think that if you just let the kid have the responsibility, chuck him out there, and for God's sake, give him more than just 15 minutes on the pitch. Give him a start and don't substitute him halfway through just because your tactics never. Because a perfect example was the game he started against Puebla. You see Diego Lainez play, but Miguel Herrera never once had his tactics to go through Diego Lainez area. He always went through the right, always went through Darwin Quintero. And I want to get into the Darwin situation after we finish Diego Lainez, because I have a feeling I know why America has withstood with Darwin Quintero so long, but I'll get into that afterwards. I feel like Diego Lainez, give him the opportunity, just chuck him out there. For example, he could be the next Marcus Rashford if you just give him the game time and the responsibility. I think you have to trust in this kid and hope that he has good people around him.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I agree with you and everything, but I just feel like this season, this tournament, he was just so not necessarily limited, but like not given, because he knew that he was going to go off into the U17 World Cup.
Oh, no, I get that.
And so yeah, I mean, like I could see him getting a bigger role, more starts, obviously, which I would love to see. And like, me, trying to not necessarily like compare like, oh, Marcus Rashford and Diego Lainez are the same player, but like where Marcus Rashford came from, and now we're seeing the same thing with Diego Lainez. Yeah, I mean, like,
I just like to have that responsibility.
Yeah. And like, like I said, but we don't want to necessarily push him too much, Go ahead and trust him, week in, week out, and like, but don't necessarily need to push him right now. In my opinion, I feel like he still has a bunch to learn, and too, and we could probably say that a little bit about the Premier League too as well. But we'll just see how the next tournament goes, and I could see him getting a bigger role. It just all depends on who America brings in too as well.
No,
from possibly the draft tomorrow and just signings outside of the draft.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, and I'm not trying to compare like the Liga MX with the Premier League, because I mean, the Liga MX is better, but I want to okay, so we'll put the Diego Lainez thing to bed. We'll just agree to disagree and hope that Miguel Herrera does know how to manage this kid, because like I said, I mean, he has loads of potential, and maybe someone that they can kind of mirror is Irving Lozano and the way that he was brought up through Pachuca, and hopefully they can mirror that and get the same results. But I want to talk to you real quickly now that we're talking about individual players. Carlos Darwin Quintero, and I think I know why America has stuck with Darwin, and I know why he is playing, and he's always on the pitch, even when you think he shouldn't even be there. So America paid, how much did they pay? God, I think they paid over $10 million for Darwin Quintero. I think it was possibly like 13. I can't remember. Don't quote me exactly, but the figure for Darwin Quintero was high, really high. Mm-hmm. He's the most expensive player on that pitch for America. I think the board somehow say, look, you need to have him on the pitch for us to even try to get anywhere close to that number to try to sell him on. And I think that's what they've been trying to do. They've just been trying to have him out there, trying to showcase and trying to get a little bit bits and pieces here so they can make a highlight reel. Because America, they can sell Daron Quintero, but they're not gonna make the same amount of money. And I think America just has a horrible business director over there with in regards to how much they pay for players and stuff. But I mean, could you imagine? I mean, Cecilio Dominguez was around the 8 million mark. I mean, it's crazy what numbers America's paying for some of these players. But I think the reason why Daron Quintero is on that pitch is because he is your most expensive asset, and you just don't want him on the bench because you're just wasting your money.
Yeah, I mean, it's I just don't like whenever I tweeted you, you know, we've seen him to be on the move, you know, America to sell him. It's just a matter of, like you said, just are they going to get their money back? You know, it's just the most expensive player and stuff like that. But yeah, I can agree with that fact, you know, because produce it all like we've expected him to do, and you know, when a player's not informed, when a player's not producing like a team knows he should pay the same that you paid or possibly more, so you can expect a profit on it.
Yeah. I think at this point, America should just cut their losses and know that they were just they're not gonna get their money back. They're definitely not gonna make a profit off of it. But I mean, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, and I think America's finally learning that their business model is just not working. But
yeah, they need to figure out the business model too as well.
Yeah, I think because America was hailed to be like, oh, you know, America, the most richest club in Mexico, and you saw that slowly deflating, and now it looks like we're, you know, trying to pick up change off the streets just to freaking be able to pay up for our players. And you know, I'm not saying it's bad as like when Jaguares didn't pay their players or stuff like that, but I'm saying, like, you know, with this whole Televisa going under, and you know, the money not being there, it just kind of shows you that, you know, what's going on. You know, like, kind of, you know, get your stuff, get you know, straighten everything out that needs to be straightened out, because there's a lot more that, you know, as a fan, we don't really, you know, take in consideration: wages and profits and business and numbers and all those kind of stuff. And I think America needs to find the right people to get that club back to the profitable standards that they were.
Yeah, I just don't want to see the club, you know, with how big it can be, you know, seeing what the rumors were happening about Cholos, you know, Cholos not playing their players and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was a big surprise, you know, and I'd hate to see that happen again, especially to America.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But now that we're talking about transfers, let me just read off of you, because I know I told you we were going to do our top 3 players that we wanted to come for this clausura. Let me just read off of you players that have been rumored to come in, and then I'll tell you players that have been rumored to come out. So this is not all of them. I know there's a lot more, because for some weird reason, America gets linked to half of the players in the world when it comes to transfer windows. But these are the names that kind of just popped out as much. Obviously, Ruben Sambueza was mentioned a lot, but that's kind of rumor has kind of blown down. Elias Hernandez, of course, he's been mentioned heavily. Someone kind of new that popped up not pretty recently: Henry Martin, the Cholos striker. Don't really know why America's looking into him. Don't really think he's a America type of player. I know Chivas is looking at him as well, so I don't know, maybe there's just a competition. Also, someone that came in pretty recently, Dairo Moreno, seems to have caught the eye of America. His card still is still Cholos. He's only Atlético Nacional for loan, so you know, America's always done well business with Cholos, so they might be able to get Dairo Moreno from them. Ismael Sosa from Tigres, Nestor Araujo, the striker from Morelia, Rui Diaz. Fernando Uribe was mentioned, but I think they discredited that today, that he wasn't going to leave to America. And a whole bunch more. We know that the Santos brothers has been named. Half of the whole Liga MX players, Luis Reyes, Eric Aguirre, all these players. And now let me read off to you the players that have been heavily mentioned the most to leave. Darwin Quintero, Silvio Romero, Miguel Zamudio, Cecilio Dominguez, and possibly William da Silva as well. But that's not where it ends. That's not what it looks like. That's going to be the whole list of players that are transferable. It looks like the next players that I'm about to read to you, they're going to be kind of like used for players to just swap with other players. So these are players that are going to be used as kind of like a coin exchange, in a sense, if you want to call it that. It's Alex Duero Diaz, Manu Perez, Cristian Paredes, Jerson Torres, Richie Marin, Pedro Arce, or Rentia. Now, out of all those players I mentioned to you, is there any player that has a link to be departed from the club? Is there any one player that you're just like, no, we can't get rid of this guy?
Okay, wait. The players that you read that are possibly leaving?
Yeah.
Okay, and it was. Oh, I don't want William da Silva to leave. Yeah, I think he's been a pretty good asset to the team, and I kind of hope he stays.
So you like William then? You like
I like William. I've never had a problem with him. I feel like he's been like I said, a good asset to the team. I feel like he brings a lot to the table.
Okay, that's understood. One player that maybe a lot of people are like, oh no, you can't get rid of him, is Cecilio Dominguez. A lot of people were like, oh no, you can't get rid of Cecilio Dominguez, this and that. And well, to be honest, he hasn't really showed up in the last couple of games. So if Cecilio was to go, I'd be fine with that too. William, he's one of those players that he can have a really good game, and then he has a game where you didn't even know he was there. But granted, he did have a good opening half of the season until he got that injury with Leon. So he could be definitely a squad player, someone that you can definitely count coming off the bench to do a good job. So maybe William could be one of those players who shouldn't leave the club either. So I told you to pick 3 players that you feel would come into America and make the team better. You're gonna give your 3, and then I'll give my 3, and we'll both explain why we think these certain 3 players, if they were to come to America, would make the squad a lot better.
Actually, I kind of want to put that on hold just a second. I didn't know if you've read. I wanted to kind of bring this up, touch on this for a quick second, but I did read that are in contract extensions talk, and Uribe is at 34 years old, and he's looking to sign for another 3 years. Is only looking to sign him for another 2.
Really?
And yeah, I don't know if you've heard that or if you kind of wanted to touch on that real quick.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. And let's touch upon that, because that's actually huge news. He's our club captain. This is why I'm shocked, and it's because they recently interviewed Santiago Baños, and he said that if it was up to him, he'd want Oribe Peralta to end his career in America. So they would want him to retire there. So now that you're telling me that America is hesitant to actually sign him for 3 years because of his age, makes me wonder what's going on over there. Santiago Baños wants him to, end his career in America and quote unquote be an idol and a legend. But I guess, could there be, I don't know, what do you think could be the reason why all of a sudden now they don't want to sign him?
Possibly wages. Maybe he wants a little bit more of a pay raise, because like we mentioned in previous episodes, he was our top goal scorer this season. you know, it just seems to us that he's the only one in the team that produces goals or produces, you know, some chances created and everything, you know, and is actually consistent with his game week in and week out.
It could be wages. I mean, we've seen stuff like that happen before. Do you think there might be maybe like the board telling Santiago Baños, hey, you know, we want him, but you know, you gotta take into consideration his age, and you know, he's not, you know, gonna get any younger. Granted, he is a good player, but he only scored 6 goals. He didn't score anything in the Liguilla. I mean, could that all be playing a factor?
It's possible. It could be possible. You know, like I said, he's already 34, and he's looking for 3 years, so which possibly pushes him to 37 the most. Sign up for an extra 2, which possibly pushes him to 36. Like we say, he's not getting any younger. Yeah, and at such an age though, he still produces pretty good, but you're not always going to produce. You know, the regression is eventually going to start too for him.
Okay, so if you were America, what would you do? Would you sign him for 2 years, or would you want him to stay to the club until he retires? Like, do you sign him up for a short amount of time and then get rid of him, or do you let him stay and retire and, you know, possibly become a legend?
I would want him to stay and retire. I would want to keep him as long as he wanted to. You know, it's just up to him. You know, whether he wants to stay and be a club legend here at America. I want to sign him as long as I can, as long as he wants to stay at America.
Yeah, that's interesting now that you bring that up, because he is one of those players that you would imagine the team itself would want to keep him for quite some time. And now you're telling me that, you know, there might be some hesitation as to the contract length. It blows my mind, really, because, you know, he's one of those players that, I mean, I understand the argument. It's because he's getting older. He's maybe not going to produce as much as he has. You're kind of seeing that already. You know, you keep a track record of his, you know, as the years gone by playing in America, he's, you know, he goes down in how many goals he's scoring, but he gives you that drive, he gives you that heart, and he could be a very important player in the dressing room as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whether he's even starting on the bench, you know, his presence being there, you know, teaching the youngsters, teaching, you know, teaching, you know, him being in the league for so long, you know, and then being with America, you know, great asset. You know, I surely wouldn't want to get rid of him unless said, hey, I don't want to be here at the club no more. You know, I want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I would accept that fact. You know, I mean, of course, you know, I would possibly try to offer him a little bit more money, you know, or something, or some other incentive to keep him there. But you know, if he doesn't want to stay, then he doesn't stay. But I would try to keep Uribe there as long as I could.
Well, it sounds like he wants to stay. He sounds like he's starting to grow with the fan base. He's starting to connect himself a little bit more with the jersey. He knows the responsibilities. He knows that because he is the captain, and there's a reason why he's the captain. So I think you're right. He would be an asset. He would be a great asset to any team, I would imagine. So why would America want to get rid of that? But to be honest, am I surprised that this is coming out? No. You know why? Because America just does not know how to handle these situations well. And I'll give you a great example. 2 great examples. Moises Muñoz and Cuauhtemoc Blanco. 2 players, you know, that you could have argued had the right to be at the club, and for some crazy reason, the club just denied just denied them. Of course, with with Cuauhtemoc Blanco, you know, trying to come back to America and retire in his last couple of years, and then of course Moises Muñoz, the way he got, you know, kind of just shrugged off to the side without really giving him an opportunity to fight for his spot, and just, you know, entrusting Marchesín. I feel like America does not know how to handle these situations well. And because of that, we see situations like this, the Uribe Peralta ones, where yeah, he's there for 2 years and then you lose him and then he goes, for example, he goes back to Santos and he's maybe not a starter at Santos, maybe just coming off the bench and you can see what he brings to the team because of that. And I think you can't lose that, especially in such a crucial time, when he's gonna start, growing into that role model that he, eventually is gonna be the biggest role model in that dressing room. And if you keep him there, then you at least can assure yourself that he's going to pass on his experiences, his methods, his skills, all of that to the younger players. And you'd want that. You want a second Oribe Peralta to come from the ranks. And I think, what Oribe Peralta brings to the table, aside from his his soccer skills and his point of view, I think he brings a lot more to that because he's a player that has played in almost every club in this league and has been in and out and knows what it's like to fight and finally break through. So I think if America's watching this, you got to sign him up for those 3 years. I mean, there's no two ways about it. He's your captain, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And maybe I feel like he at least earned the right to at least ask for the years he wants to ask for, because and maybe it is just the financial issue. Who knows? I mean, we can sit here and talk about it all we want all day, but at the end of the day, it's like we're not the board members deciding this.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting how this plays out in the end. See what happens.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about. Give me your three players that you would want to come in.
I gave you Elias Hernandez and possibly both of those Santos brothers.
Okay. I am going to pop your bubble because
I just knew you were as soon as I sent you those. I was gonna mention those Santos brothers. I just knew. I had that feeling like he's gonna pop it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like the both the Santos brothers are not going to be able to come to America. I didn't really finish reading the article. I was at work, but it looks like whatever possibility America had to bring it in is just completely gone. I'd have to read the article to actually just go into detail, but it looks like for the meantime, it looks like the Dos Santos brothers was not going to be an option. And if they were, it was going to be a very short option. It looks like they were only going to be able to stay till February, which really only gives them about 2 months with the team. After that, of course, they would have done their concentration and everything. So, I mean, but Elias Hernandez, I think every Americanista at this point wants an Elias Hernandez at the club.
Yeah, especially get rid of Darwin Quintero. So.
Yeah,
not being having the consistency that we wanted.
I know. Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I'll give you my 3 players that I think would definitely come in and help the squad. I think if you were to get Rui Diaz or the Cholo striker Bo, either one of those. If you were to bring in the left back Luis Reyes, and here's an and that maybe a lot of people would be like, really? He was linked with America very briefly, but who knows? Maybe there's some possibility. Victor Guzman, he of course the Pachuca creative midfielder who sometimes plays in a defensive center defensive mid role. Why? Because I think all those players add to the team not only depth but talent. We've seen what Luis Reyes can do in the Confederations Cup. He went toe to toe with pretty big players and he looked pretty good. We need a striker, and these 2 strikers that I mentioned, Bo and Rui Diaz, both have the ability to score in the Liga MX. They're proven goal scorers, and Victor Guzman because he gives an alternative to maybe, Guido or sometimes Edson or maybe even William or Mateos. And he's Mexican. I mean, we've heard it. Miguel Herrera says he wants more Mexicans and that he's going to go for the best Mexicans. And I think Victor Guzman is definitely one of those.
Yeah, I can agree to those players. I think Victor Guzman would bring a lot. You know, possibly just anybody at this point. You know, with rumors that are going on. You know, with all these possible departures and everything. You know, it's just going to get thinner than it is right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I mean, like I said, tomorrow is Judgment Day. Tomorrow we will know who Americas has their eye on, and I know me and you are both going to be keeping an eye close on Twitter to see what the latest updates are for each of our for each hour that goes by. So we talked a little bit of rumors about everything. We can't go into a lot more detail because, of course, we don't know exactly who's coming in and who's not. But at the end of the day, how many signings would you want tomorrow, or maybe not just tomorrow, but before the start of the clausura?
How many signings? You
Yeah.
said? Yeah. I would say just as many as if we have departures.
Okay.
For
So
filling if we're filling the right shoes, basically. Yeah.
okay, I get you. So, as long as we fill in the gaps of the people that left. Okay, that's fair enough. I'd be happy with two good signings. Three would be ideal, but I'd be happy with two.
Yeah.
I would. So I know we're running it a little bit longer than we've expected, so we'll run down to the last bit of everything. So we talked transfer rumors and what we would like to see. We won't know until tomorrow for sure. So now let's talk about us. Let's talk about the podcast itself. If for those of you guys who tune in and who are seeing this and who read the title of the video, we are happy to officially announce that the podcast name is the Eagle Eye Podcast. Full credit goes to the man right here, Mr. Dylan. He came up with the name, and you guys voted on Twitter. You guys liked it, so that is the podcast name. And I really liked it too at first. When he first told it to me, I just wanted to give you guys more options. But I'm happy that it won, and I'm just happy we finally have a name.
Yeah, we just throwing a America podcast right there on the screen. But which I mean, we could have gone with that too. But I mean, I want to have something catchy. You know, be like, oh, yeah. Did you see the Eagle Eye Podcast? You know?
Yeah. So let's. So happy to announce that because we're happy to be able to bring you guys a name. It's like we finally have a sense of identity. We're not just floating there now in the unknown. I just want to talk about our plans for 2018, and kind of give a rundown of what people can expect from us. And I think you touched upon it. Maybe more of a maybe more of a consistent schedule is what we're definitely going to be looking for.
Yeah, I mean, like, because like we kind of talked about the two legs against Tigres, and it's like way past it. We've already had the Liga MX final and stuff like that, but that was just me due to scheduling issues and stuff like that, because I've just these past couple weeks too with closing out the semester and everything like that.
Yeah, so I mean, we can promise you, the viewer, that we are gonna be we're gonna be much better at organizing our schedule and being able to bring you guys a consistent podcast show, a live show. And I'm also happy to announce that hopefully within the next coming weeks, we can figure out a way to expand our listening viewers, more like listening our listening ears, because we're going to try to get the Eagle Eye Podcast to all of your favorite listening podcast devices, which could be your phone, tablet, whatever it may be, whether it be SoundCloud, iTunes, all that stuff. So I've been working on that, and hopefully soon we'll be able to share this and broaden our viewers and our listeners, so we can definitely grow the podcast from there. And we'll discuss about it more as the time progresses, and hopefully you guys are excited about that, because I know having to tune into this or watching the video could sometimes be a hassle. A lot of people like to listen to podcasts on the go, and if we're able to bring that experience to their phones and to the podcast apps such as SoundCloud, Spotify, all that stuff, we can bring that to them. It'd be absolutely amazing. So I'm excited to share with you guys that bit of news, and hopefully I'll be able to make that official within the coming up weeks, so we can start off the year well. I know we said that we were gonna kick things off pretty early in the year. We'll definitely give each and every single one of the viewers a date and a time for our first podcast episode of the year, and we're definitely gonna be talking more in depth about games previews, and we're definitely gonna try to get some guests on the channel as well. I know me and you, we know a couple of people that we can definitely ask to see if they can come on the show and talk about America, or maybe just the Mexican national team. And of course, with the World Cup coming up too, we're definitely going to be trying to organize our schedule around that as well. Yeah. So really much it. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported the podcast to this point. It's a very short 2017 for us, but we're definitely happy that you guys have started the ride with us, and hopefully you guys continue and help us grow the podcast even more. Like I said, it should help to have a more broader listening experience if we can get this on on iTunes and SoundCloud and all that stuff. So we'll definitely be trying to get that out there. Anything you want to add about 2017?
2017. Let's see. Yeah, just say that. Just hang in there, guys. America's gonna get better.
Yeah, crazy year. And everything around the world, and especially around the club itself. But yeah, we all we got to do is be optimistic and hope for the best. So, like I said, thank you guys. Thank you, Dylan, for making this a possibility. And well, like I said, we'll do our best to make sure we can bring the best listening experience to everyone who tunes in.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for those of you who tuned in, and if you're not live and you got this far into the podcast, thank you to watching. Every live view is appreciated. Every retweet, whenever it's it out that we're podcasting, that we're live, or if you missed the show live, he tweets it out again. Every retweet, every like, it's we're just trying to get something going. Bring some English news, some stuff like that about America to his fan base and all the Americanistas out there too.
Yeah, definitely. And if you guys ever have any recommendations for us or anything you guys like to see or change, let us know too. We're open to the discussion, and we were definitely not strangers. We're open to having a conversation with everyone. So if you don't have anything more to add, I think it's time we sign off.
I'm good. We basically covered everything that we could. So been a great short 2017 podcast season for us.
Yeah, it's been short. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for tuning in. That wraps it up for us. 2017, short, brief, but definitely with a lot of ambition for 2018. So I want to thank every single one of you that came out and who are listening live and who at this point got to the video. Thank you for your support, like Dylan said. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year's, and we will see each other very, very soon come 2018. Thank you, Dylan, for your time and for every single thing that you've contributed to the show.
No problem, man. My pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys 2018.